Now, some individuals who were facing criminal prosecutions by the state have welcomed the Attorney General's decision to discontinue their trials, describing the move as a confirmation that the charges against them were baseless. ChannelOne News' Hansen Ajiman has details for us.
The discontinuation of several high-profile cases was widely expected, as the opposition National Democratic Congress had long described them as acts of political persecution.
I see the prosecution, or which today people call persecution, as a narrative that the Kufuor administration was simply trying to push across, just to vilify and paint the Mahama administration as a corrupt administration. But unfortunately, I think time has revealed that indeed that was not the case, considering the number of prosecutions that went on and the number of convictions that were secured. And so automatically, naturally, once the Mahama Part 2 came, I did expect that this kind of decision be taken.
The first case to be dropped was a defrauding by false pretense and financial loss case against former Cocoa Board CEO Dr. Stephen Opuni and businessman Siedu Agongo. At the time of withdrawal, the prosecution had already closed its case, with Dr. Opuni completing his defense, while Siedu Agongo was still presenting his. Both expressed relief, insisting that the decision vindicates them.
To say as all power and authority belong to the Almighty God and not human beings. And then I will add that the living God I serve has disgraced and has cursed all my enemies, my persecutors, and my destiny haters. That's what I'll tell you.
Similarly, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayine, instructed the withdrawal of charges against Dr. Johnson Esiama, a former governor of the Bank of Ghana, who has been appointed as a governor of the Bank of Ghana pending approval from the Council of State. He was facing charges in two separate cases related to the collapse of UT Bank and Unibank. A private legal practitioner, Moses Befie Champon, who represents some of the accused persons in these cases, has described the Attorney General's decision as appropriate.
Being that on the face of it, there is no the allegations against the accused persons, one, cannot be substantiated, and two, was just a form of witch hunting. That is what we thought, and I am glad that now we have come to the realization of it. In fact, when you look at the charges against Esiama, for instance, the charges against him are one, that he breached the Bank of Ghana Act, and two, that he caused some financial loss to the state. If you look at the facts before the court, you look at the evidence before the court, there has not been any financial loss to the state. In fact, all the events or the actions of Esiama were actions that was taken not by him personally, but by the management of the Bank of Ghana.
But what happens to other accused persons still facing trial, including Dr. Kobna Dufour and Prince Kofi Amoabin?
The removal reinforces a particular narrative once again, this time by the Attorney General, that whatever he's doing is legitimate, because really, not just legitimate, but also reinforces the positive thoughts, the intentions behind what he's doing, because he could have easily discontinued against all of them, but he chose one person. Let's remember that Kobna Dufour is a member of the NDC. He was the former finance minister. And thank you. And his son is also under prosecution in this same administration. The Attorney General could have decided to discontinue against.
Moses Befie Champon believes a further review of the cases could lead to the withdrawal of charges against these individuals as well.
And I think that a further review of the documents would lead the Attorney General to come to that conclusion. Just as we said from the start, we still maintain that they will not be able to establish their case. And so you shouldn't waste anybody's time, because your most important witnesses, PW1 and PW2, have been in the box. In fact, we are done cross-examining PW1 and PW2. We are yet to move to PW3. And if you cannot, at the beginning, in Akanya, at the beginning, you cannot really substantiate, and there are a lot of inconsistencies and hearsays, then legally, I don't think that it will be prudent for us to spend our resources on this.
The Attorney General's office invoked Section 59 of the Criminal Offences Procedure Act, Act 30, to withdraw the charges. Under this provision, if a case is withdrawn before the close of the prosecution's case, the accused is discharged. However, if the state discontinues the case after closing its arguments, the accused is fully acquitted. Private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi explains the legal implications of this move and whether it leaves room for further prosecution.
Withdrawal is not a basis for the people benefiting from it today to plead with the courts, as we call it in law. I mean, to plead the technical ground of acquit or convict. In this case, either of it, whichever would have applied in their cases. And so, in view of that, I think it is not a completely closed book yet, not yet at the moment, except to pray that nothing untoward is found in future.
Despite the legal technicalities, lawyers representing the accused persons believe that the cases will not return to court.
It will not come up again simply because reasonably, this case shouldn't have even been started reasonably. So anybody in a reasonable conclusion will never reach any point where he will decide to bring any action against anybody when you know clearly that you will not be able to establish any case against the accused persons. We are all here, I know and I believe that a further review of the facts, the evidence that have been tendered in so far would bring one to the only reasonable conclusion that this case is just a waste of time.
Other discontinued cases include the Samuel Ofosu-Apofu case and the state's appeal against the acquittal of Dr. Kesalato Forsen and Richard Jakpa. While some view these withdrawals as politically motivated, Justice Abdullah and Moses Befia Champon disagree, arguing that the Attorney General acted within legal boundaries.
My view of what the Attorney General has done, that clearly means that he means some amount of positive change in the look of the prosecution. And I clearly foresee, as I've indicated, the Capital Bank case also being looked at. Let's all remember that prosecution, and indeed criminal cases, do not die. I mean, crime that does not have an expiry date. And so there's a possibility that some other persons would also be called upon to answer.
The decision of the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, to discontinue prosecution against some politically exposed persons has received commendation from some quarters. But some are also questioning if this really is the end of the road for these persons, because they may in the future face similar charges. Reporting for ChannelOne News, Hansen Ajiman.